to Two Mystic Mamas. We be talking about full moon energy tonight. Today. You'll see the moon tonight. It's a cold moon.
We're just shy of the full moon here, guys.
Yeah, just shy. It's coming. It's coming. Just go outside and look at it.
How you doing?
I feel like I'm just making lots of noises with my bracelets. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I know you hate that question, but I feel like it's an open invitation.
I don't hate the question if it's sincere and you are interested in knowing actually how I'm doing, which
I am.
You always are interested in knowing how I'm doing.
I am.
Plus, if I say I'm good and I'm not, you're like, what's going on, bud?
Like, I call bullshit.
Yeah. I'm looking at your face and your face is saying not good.
Yeah.
So I do love the question. It's just I feel that it can be very impersonal a lot of the times because it's like, how's the weather? How's the weather been? You know what?
I wonder what a better thing would be to do. Because how many times do you see somebody at like a sports game or something like that and you're like, hey, how you doing?
Yeah. And you don't really have time to sit there and talk, but you want to acknowledge them.
Right.
It's almost like you could say, so good to see you.
Right.
Hope you're doing good. Like, don't ask a question that invokes someone answering a question. Just do more like a statement.
Maybe I'll start asking questions that really catch people off guard.
I was just thinking that too. Wouldn't that be funny?
Did you get laid last night?
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. Like, how's your sex life?
Yeah.
Huh?
Approximately how many orgasms have you had in 2024?
So, today we are talking about a big circle in the sky. What color do you think the moon is?
Like a dark grayish. I think it's a varied texture of color. Lack thereof.
Last time I checked, I don't think there's a lot of color on the moon. Well, there's a lot of grays.
Not on the surface of the moon.
White.
What if the inside of the moon's fucking rainbow? See? Just change your opinion. We don't know.
If they find a rainbow planet, that's it. I'm done.
You're moving there immediately.
I am going to put myself on Elon's rocket ship. That sounds weird. And
you're gonna ride Elon's rocket ship, Rach?
Not his personal one, but maybe
he is trying to procreate.
I know. Yes, I know.
Have tons of children. So if you'd like to fire that engine back up for him,
yep, I'm not here for that.
Sorry, Jeff.
No.
She's gonna ride Elon's rocket ship.
I'm not. I'm only riding your rocket ship, Jeff.
Poor Jeffrey.
To infinity and beyond. Jeff's forever.
Oh, man.
There might have been a few before, but now there's only one. And if anyone's to break it, it's not going to be Mr. Musk. Mr. Musk not.
Wow. Man, these episodes are turning quicker and quicker.
Into what we don't want to ever manifest. Though I think a rainbow planet would be like cool as shit.
So yesterday we saw the CA 2023 comet.
Is it a comet?
It is a comet.
It is a comet because people are saying it was a meteor and it's not a meteor.
It is a comet.
It is a comet. And we have to come up with a much better name than that. Who gives it? Who created?
Well, it was just discovered in January of 2023. It was the first time it was actually seen.
And that was the name that they were like, let's name it.
I guess C2023/A3 or some crazy. I don't understand the designation, but.
Well, it's because it's NASA. I just sound.
NASA? Like in the Bahamas?
Yes.
Watch out, that Bohemian comet's coming right for us, Rachel.
Is that your Bohemian accent?
No, it's not. I don't even know what that is.
Wow.
Oh, man.
NASA. Phonics did not work for Rachel, okay? We have talked about this.
Anyway, NASA. We saw the comet yesterday. Yes. I saw the comet Saturday night, and it was just above the sunset, and it was gorgeous. The marching band was right below it, doing their warm-ups. It was so cool. And then last night, we were heading on a little date night together. And I saw it. I was like, look at that. I was like, that is not a plane.
It's also not a rocket.
It's not Elon's rocket. And then I was like, ooh, pull up my night sky app because I was driving. And it was the comet. And we saw it from many angles. It's so cool.
It's so cool.
But when we came home, and
Yes.
it was dark, and like right out our back, we could see Jupiter.
Mm-hmm.
And then we could see this like orange flickering. Oh, it was just star. Star. It was a giant star.
Well, it was only going to be one of a couple
orange.
things. It's not like you could be like, and the thing in the sky was a tree.
It was an orange star.
So it was either going to be a planet or it was going to be a star.
Right.
Because I don't think there's anything else out there.
I can't remember.
I mean,
if
garbage.
It was that,
There's a lot of garbage out there. Did
that
you know that?
star? Oh.
A lot of
Do you want to see?
Space garbage.
Do you want to see it? Right there.
Oh my God.
Do you know what those are? Starlink.
No.
Yep.
That's creepy as hell.
Space junk. You guys, if you don't have the Night Sky app, it's free. But one of these stars is twice the size of the sun.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm like, that's so wild to me. And then another one has a dwarf planet that's actually in its orbit.
Yes. So funny. Yesterday, I was like, I'm going to do research for this episode. I went to the library and I was like, I'm going to get out some books to prepare for this full moon energy episode. So I went, and there was all these books on the moon, and I was like, perfect. Thinking they would talk about the cycles, I guess I was thinking they'd talk about the energy and the magic. Instead, it was all scientific, right? So I'm starting to read these books, and I was falling asleep. I was
You went astronomy, not astrology.
Yeah, this is not the information that I'm looking for to share with our listeners. But the moon is super old, and if you're interested on how it was created, it's really in depth, and it's made up of a bunch of interesting material and has lots of influence on the stars and the planet Earth. And I think the theory is, because there's no scientific proof, even though like scientists are trying really hard to get the proof that they need, that the moon was formed after the young Earth got hit by a giant ass meteor and like shot all this shit out into space. And then gravity and whatever else helps form a planet sucked it all out and formed the moon. That's Rachel's take on that.
Thank you, Neil deGrasse Tyson.
But it was interesting that the one thing I did garner from my research that I did yesterday was that the power of the moon and the energy of the moon, not just the moon, also the sun and the other planets, has been studied for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years throughout all civilizations that have ever walked the earth. And it has been documented, right? And that is super cool because it's something that translates regardless, right? Like all civilizations have documentation that centers around the moon cycle, the sun, and the sky. The sky has been a source of
That was their
mystery.
only source of information for a long time. And there's a lot of hieroglyphics and ancient tablets that share this kind of information.
Correct.
It's interesting, though. I think we tend to think that the moon is the only thing that's causing these changes in the gravitational pull. But really, I think the moon only has like 1/10 of it's like a very small percentage of its pull. But when it's the gravitational pull of the sun and the moon combined that actually affects the tides and affects our bodies because we're made of mostly water. And it's... And that's actually why I have these two stones out right now, because I have labradorite, which is a kind of stone that's associated with the moon, and sunstone.
Yeah. I love that. Well, and the other interesting thing, riffing off that, is they all play together. Like our whole solar system is connected.
Correct.
It's kind of interesting that, it's kind of like how all of our systems in our bodies are also connected, like our respiratory and our nervous and our circulatory, and all of the systems are connected, just like the planets are all interconnected too. So really, that's why there's so much synchronicity, us as humans, and why we look to the stars for astrology and an understanding of the energy shifts and when things come up and why they come up. Again, getting curious, if you just do a little bit of digging, it is a fascinating phenomenon that exists in our sky.
Right. Well, it has the most effect when the Earth, the sun, and the moon are all aligned, which is what happens during the full moon.
Correct. So basically, if you think about a picture effect, you have 3 planets in a line, moon on one side, Earth's in the middle, sun's on the other side. Sun is reflecting back. That's why the moon appears to shine, because it's the sun reflecting off. And this particular moon has a lot of names.
The cold moon.
The cold moon, because it's right before the winter solstice.
Yes. So it's right before Yule.
Yeah. So that's another name for it.
It's called the moon before Yule. And Yule is a celebration of the sun returning, right?
I love the Yule time.
I do. I love Yule.
Yeah. So there's lots of names because, again, well, we're in the northern hemisphere. And so this full moon is a full moon in Sagittarius. But if you're in Australia, it's a full moon in Gemini.
Correct. If you're in the southern hemisphere,
yes,
you get a different experience.
Which is so interesting. So we're going to just focus on us because we're selfish.
Well, this is why the birth chart, when you have your natal chart done, they ask you where you were born.
Right.
And your
that makes
location
sense.
specific, because the stars are different depending on where you're at in the world.
Yes.
At any given moment.
Any given moment. So lots of moons, lots of full moons have different names, but this one has the one you just touched on, and also the long night moon. So the cold moon and long night moon, and also the oak moon, those all stem from indigenous tribes.
It
related.
Is the longest night of the year.
Correct. Shortest day, longest night.
Yeah. And it's when we welcome the sun back. That's why we celebrate the solstice.
Even though it doesn't feel like we really welcome it back until...
But it's
sometime in March. It's like the slowest welcome ever.
Well, I mean, spiritually, the cold moon's energy is about slowing down, conserving energy, and kind of focusing on personal growth. And it's kind of a invitation for us to wrap up the year too, right? In terms of like, a lot of times we create space in the new year for new intentions. Now, a full moon is not the place where you necessarily want to set intentions, though. You want to wait until the new moon to actually set new intentions. But this is all kind of in preparation when we have the last full moon of the year as we're entering into winter.
Yeah. I think, too, the one thing particular to this moon is the desire or need for change, but that doesn't necessarily mean large change, just like identifying areas that you would like to make the small changes in and leaving room for spontaneity and adventure, which both lend itself to it being in Sagittarius.
Right. Because we're really, the full moon begins the process of decay, right? Where the moon starts to wane and gets smaller and smaller in our field of view, obviously.
Right.
And that's a time for release. That's a time for grounding. That's a time for creating the space that you're talking about, where then we can set those longer term goals and create a new chapter for ourselves. And we continually have the opportunity to do this every single month. Yeah.
And to your point too, I think depending on who is listening to this and what season of life they're in and what they're going through, the energy of a full moon is something, to Krystyn's point, but also my opinion, when you're in a place where you need something to take place, you take the energy that comes off of the planets and this opportunity, and then you leave whatever else you don't need. So if you're in a place where you want to set intentions and you want to have change and you want to be more adventurous and spontaneous, then heed that. But if you also are in a place where you've been doing that and you want to take the time and the energy from the full moon to reflect, relax, chill, and continue that forward motion without like setting big, audacious, crazy changes, you can do that too. So it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but I think a lot of times with our messaging and what we're just trying to talk about is you take what you need and then you leave the rest.
Very well put. Take what you need. I think that the full moon is a promise of new life, new chapters, new beginnings, very similarly to how we look at the new year, very similar to how we look at spring, right? There's so many opportunities for us to reinvent how we're existing in the life that we have.
Right. And sometimes in that, it's easy to get caught up, especially because this full moon is going to come right before the Christmas and New Year's holiday, right? So
yeah, December 15th.
The fiscal year is also wrapping. You have PTO winding down. So you're also taking time. If you work in corporate America, you're taking time. You're taking that space. A lot of people are on vacation. There's a lot of amped up energies. There's lots of holiday parties. There's lots of activities. The kids are going to be out of school. I mean, you can hear me kind of getting amped up while I'm talking about it because there's a lot of fucking stuff going on. And I think it is, again, this is just my opinion, but I find that when I have that much stuff happening and it feels like it's happening all at once, I do carve out time to lay down my piece and to ground myself and to protect myself because that energy is a lot. And it's as a collective, it's a fucking lot.
It is. But the thing that happens is when we are inviting peace and joy and devotion to our priorities into our life through grounding practices, through affirmation, whatever it is that works for you, we actually are then opening ourselves up to receive messages from higher sources and from our spirit guides. So as soon as we lean into that, it opens up so much.
Yes. I'm very excited for this particular holiday season now that I've been really religiously practicing. Isn't that a funny term? Now that I've been way more intentional this year with my daily spiritual practices to see how this holiday season all shakes out, because I can find it to be draining, overwhelming, a bit toxic because it's go, 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 go. And, you know, a lot of people pleasing and you can't say no to things. And also a lot of gluttonous behavior where it's like, you know, you have to indulge, you have to eat this, you have to drink this. And I think sometimes like that's fun, but it can also become a lot. And that's also, I think, why the New Year's resolution is always, all right, I'm done eating like shit and drinking like a fish. And
I hate the New Year's resolution.
Yeah, I know. And so I just want to give our listeners permission that if they find themselves in a place where, you know, they're listening to their mind and they're listening to their spirit and they're listening to their body, like heed those warnings. And it's okay if you have to decline a get together. It's okay if you don't have to. And it's also okay to go to a party and say, I'm just going to have a mocktail or water. Like you don't have to indulge and feel, and naturally I'm speaking for my own self because I want to be more intentional with my participation in it, right? Because at the end of the day, when I wake up the next day, the party's not there to comfort me and, you know, give me all the insight. I'm left with myself. And so I tend to find that it's more empowering to be like, all right, ready to take on the day, you know? And not to say like you can't have a good time, but I just think sometimes I get caught up in indulging and in having a good time and always kind of not pumping the brakes and saying, you don't have to go to every single party and get together. And
yeah. I mean, Charlie and I are not big drinkers, but I think the overarching message is observe rather than react. Because that reaction can be in the indulgence that you're talking about. The reaction could also be like reacting to your family because all of the fucking things are going on and you like can't, how do you fit it all in, right? So I would just say this is a really good time to observe. Observe what's happening. Observe the behaviors of yourself and others and try and act with intention versus reacting up with whatever's happening around you, whether that is like, oh, I have to go to this party or I am going to lose my fucking mind because this person took the last ham.
Well, I think too, for
like,
me,
Christmas with the Cranks, where she's like, yeah, it's Christmas with the Cranks. Oh man,
I don't know.
Yeah. Oh,
tables are turning.
Or she's like, her daughter goes away to Peru for the holidays.
Okay.
And then they decide they're going to go away. And then they find out last minute that she's coming back and she has a boyfriend. And so she's like, of course, like, I'll put on the Christmas Eve party. So then they're like rushing to do all of the things. And it takes a village because they've shut out their whole neighborhood because they decided they were going to go on a cruise because their daughter was gone. And then she's like rushing through the grocery store and like power walking an old lady for the last ham.
Yes. Who is it Jennifer Aniston? No.
It's Jamie Lee Curtis.
Okay. Yeah.
And Tim the Toolman Allen. What the fuck is his name?
Tim Allen.
Oh, his name was just Tim Allen?
Yeah. He basically just played himself in that show.
Oh, he just always plays himself?
I mean, yeah. Not when he was in Santa Claus, but we were just watching that too the other day.
He was in Santa Claus?
He was the Santa Claus.
In which Santa?
Well, the movie's called The Santa Claus.
Oh, I guess I'm thinking of Christmas Chronicles with, what's his name, and Goldie Hawn.
Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Also excellent, but no, different.
Yeah.
I think, again, this is for me, this is my own advice, and this is why I heed this sometimes. I find that if I have a cocktail or two when I get to an event that I don't maybe necessarily really want to be at, it helps to just calm me down and take the anxiety away from the whole event.
Maybe I'll go get some edibles from somebody and pop them in your drink.
That's just what I need. God. But I also, when I feel that way about something, I try to acknowledge like why I feel that way. Because I think a lot of times people think I'm naturally optimistic and I'm naturally an outgoing person, that I just love being around people. And I'm finding that that's actually not the case.
That is not facts.
I am both of those things, but I like to keep my tribe pretty close and tight to myself. And there are people that I love to be around and that like feed my energy and that I just like, well, I mean, you're one of them naturally, but then there's other people where I'm like, nah, I don't want to be here. Like nothing about me wants to be here. So then I change how I feel about it by altering my state of mind.
That's very observant of you.
I know.
Mm-hmm. I think that's great though, because a lot of people don't take the time to figure out why they're either feeling a certain way about something or avoiding certain feelings.
Yeah, I think it's pretty common.
It is very common, but I don't think it's common for people to actually navigate those waters afterwards and be like, why did I feel that way?
Well, yeah. And I think, showing up authentically on this podcast is exposing the good, the bad, and the working. I don't want to say the ugly, because I don't feel like any of these things are ugly. I think they are just characteristics of us having this human experience in this life. And I think that's important to identify too, is that we are here on this earth to have human experiences. And so we are not supposed to be robots. We're not supposed to do everything perfectly every single day, all of the fucking time. We are supposed to make mistakes. And so I love to live life. I love to go to a city and eat my way through the city and drink my way through the city. I mean, I'm very open about that. That's part of just what brings me great joy. It's how I was raised. And so I don't like to diminish that fire necessarily, but I also don't like to use alcohol or drugs as a way of escaping situations to be a different version of myself.
Right.
Because sometimes that's not safe either.
Oh, yeah, for sure not. I love that. That is very good advice, because I think naturally people are going to drink more because it's the holidays and there's more social gatherings.
Right.
But also there's more stress.
Yes.
There's family stress.
And there's
financial stress.
Yes.
There's time management stress. Like, as lovely as the holidays are on the outside, sometimes they can be not so lovely when you get down to what that really looks like in a day-to-day.
And there's a lot of people that don't have chosen family and only have given family, and their given family sucks balls. And the holidays can be really, really hard. I always think too that it's just one of those times to navigate with peace in mind. I also find that it's like, the greatest time of the year when Christ was born, and we all are so nice. And then you go shopping, and everyone's like, fuck you too. Like there's like road rage everywhere, and everyone's like real tense and heightened. And I just think the irony of the whole thing is so funny, because you're like, you should want to give the ham to that old lady, Jamie Lee Curtis. Like, that is the nice thing to do. Like, what are we doing? And studies have shown that in times of high stress, a alcohol beverage can lower cortisol. It can bring it down. But usually one is not all there is, at least for me. Sometimes. I've gotten much better at it, but usually like one leads to four. And that's when it goes in the opposite direction and it actually acts as a depressant.
Right.
So it's just navigating that, being aware, just being aware of what you're putting in your bodies and what you want the outcome to be.
Right. You were talking about baby Jesus.
Baby Jesus.
Baby Jesus. It reminded me of this meme that I saw yesterday. And it was a picture of a Christmas ornament.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh man, I thought this was a severed toe. And then I looked a little bit closer. So I literally just, because I didn't save it, so I just Googled baby Jesus severed toe. You guys.
Oh my God. It's like a vintage ornament.
Yeah.
It looks like a mummified toe, but it's actually a baby swaddled in a blanket.
Here it is. I was wondering why Mom had a severed toe as a Christmas ornament until I took a closer look.
That's amazing.
We'll share it on our Instagram page for you guys.
That is so good.
So funny. I mean, the point is that this cycle of the moon, this ending of the calendar year, this holiday season is going to mean something different to every single one of us.
Yes.
And I want to encourage you all to say no to one thing that does not feel good and take the time to do something that does feel good and maybe journal. I have a couple of journal entries, like questions for you. And that would be like, what gave you energy this year? Right. And I think we should answer these as I talk about them. This podcast gave me energy this year.
Yes, I would agree with that. Stepping into my power gave me energy this year.
Right. Doing daily tarot card pulls gave me energy this year.
Becoming more grounded and utilizing mindfulness techniques, that is energy giving for me, for sure.
Using ChatGPT to write my meal plans so that I don't have to do it.
Just using ChatGPT in general.
No, I mean, really though, like I'll be like, okay, this is what I have in my fridge.
Yes.
I need meals for the next 2 days.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What you got for me?
Yep.
Because I would just ruminate on stuff and be like, okay, I'm going to go to the grocery store, but if I go to the grocery store, when am I going to fit that in? And then I have to make more of this. And it's like, ugh. When you're trying to fit all of that into the schedule, just ChatGPT that shit.
Helping other humans always gives me energy and joy.
Always. Yeah, teaching really gave me a lot of energy this year as well. What do you think depleted your energy this year?
Alcohol. If I'm being honest. Again, I found myself using alcohol in the evenings to relax. And even if I had a drink, I found it was happening like pretty regularly. And I didn't want to do that anymore. And I was putting on weight, but I hadn't really changed anything. So just started identifying. It wasn't really what did it bring me joy, but what took my energy, right? So
yeah, what depleted your energy?
What depleted, yeah. So definitely just the consumption of alcohol and stressing out about not having a job.
You do have a job, but
I know. But
you
again,
don't have
it's
a tech
that
job.
It's the mindset. It's the reframing, right? It took me almost a fucking year to be able to say I'm an entrepreneur, even though I've known that. And I think there's this misconception that if you're an entrepreneur that you immediately make money working, which isn't true. And that was a little bit of a belief that I was changing my mindset around, because naturally work to me equals income. And that's what I know. And so when I don't have income rolling in regularly like I'm used to, that is an interesting concept. And so to what has depleted my joy, this has not depleted my joy. What has increased my joy is breaking old fucking beliefs and reestablishing new beliefs for my life that I have now, that I am building now, which is different than my life that I was building before.
Right. Yeah, I think the trajectory of both of our lives looks considerably different now than it did a year ago. I really found that my energy was depleted this year when I
Mm-hmm.
was falling back into old habits that meant that I was battling my own internal dialogue.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was, right? Because I immediately found myself trying to like look for a job. You have to get a job. And I'm like, wait, you have a fucking job. You are working. It just feels different than what you're used to.
Yeah, it's hard to reframe.
It is.
Yeah, it really is. But reframing helps propel us forward.
Well, and it can be hard, right? Like it's a hard season when you're in the throes of it, but when you are building something incredible, it is always hard. Like I follow this woman who does dowsing rods.
Oh, yeah.
And depending if she's talking to an ascended master or if she's talking to an archangel, she talks to all different types of spirit. And they always, when she says, does success take hard work? Always, the answer is yes. True success, true abundance is not freely given in the sense that like you don't have to put forth energy and effort into it. And so for me, that's been very reiterating to the mission that we are doing and what we are doing and why we are doing it, that I haven't even second guessed this.
Yeah, neither have I.
But reframing it to know that the abundance is coming and it is all worth it and it's going to be more than we can ever imagine. That's where I have found so much joy and energy in trusting that process.
That's great. Yeah, I think the other space where I really felt depleted was in the things that I was cognitive of the fact that I needed to let go and release them, but I wasn't releasing them. But then to take a step further, if we go back to what I was really working with Vanessa, was that it's okay for those conditioned tendencies to live within as long as they're, like we said before, not in the driver's seat. Mm-hmm. And so I think one major thing that depletes my energy is that battle of making sure that I'm allowing myself to blend those things into who I am rather than beating myself up because they exist within me.
Yes. Throughout this year, I have battled with allowing myself time for self-care. And self-care for me this past year has been a lot of mindfulness, a lot of gratitude. And mindfulness does take time. Maybe it's an hour, maybe it's 3 hours, where you are with yourself and being for yourself and resting.
It could be 3 minutes though, too.
It could. Yeah. It could. For me, I have found I need more time with it because I'm still learning how to do all the things. And I found that after I left my job, I needed so much rest, like my body physically. And I remember feeling so much shame for that. Like, you're so lazy. You haven't done enough today. Why are you still so tired? Instead of giving my body that message of, I'm so glad you rested today. You feel so much more energized now that you've given yourself this time. And so again, that's another reframing. Taking time to rest and being still, and whether that's meditating, whether that's physically sleeping and letting your body and your mind heal, is not a form of being lazy.
Nailed it.
I mean, there are people that naturally are lazy, but that is not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about...
I agree with everything that you're saying, right? So if you do have people that are...
Because you struggle with this too.
Prone to being lazy, right?
Well, not being lazy. You don't have...
No, definitely
the way that
not
this all
lazy.
came together in that statement, I was like, whoa, no, back up. Okay.
No, I'm definitely on the other side of that. But, you know, if somebody who's prone to being lazy is listening to this, what do you think the advice for them is rather than it being
find your joy.
An invitation. Right. So that's what I was going to say.
Find your joy. Because clearly you're not doing something because this feels like all you can do.
You're not doing enough of the right things that are giving you what you need.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think that you're lazy.
No.
I just think that you are not doing those purposeful things that are feeding your soul.
Right. They have to find the root cause as to what their purpose is. And that can be a real challenge for a lot of people to be like, How do I even start that? Where do I start? You just need to get out in the full moon. Okay. But seriously, like if you expose yourself to the elements and you get out in nature, especially around a full moon, and you ask the universe to help identify what your purpose is, why are you here? What is the bigger picture here for you? You unique individual with your own vibrational frequency, you will start to receive the answers. The signs will come. They will 1,000% come. You have to heed them. You have to be willing to listen and
that's a whole different process.
Do the fucking work. Do the work.
Right.
But doing the work, taking the time for ourselves, being mindful, resting. I love these questions because I think that this is really such an important part of the journey and the year in reflection, to reflect, to go back on and see where growth has happened, see where failures have taken place, see where opportunities came. Maybe we didn't capitalize on them, or maybe we did. I'm really proud of what we've accomplished this year on the podcast. And I am unbelievably excited to just continue to see the trajectory up, and up. Even when we look at our data, I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's like
so
climbing our mountain.
I know.
I'm like, ah.
Charlie had a really good point. We were talking about this just this week. I had previously had the conversation with him where you and I talked about the fact that if that quote unquote big deal had fallen into our lap right now, we wouldn't be ready for it. And I guess he was just listening to something with Jelly Roll, where I guess he was talking about all these TikTok stars that are getting famous for their music are getting these big deals with these stadiums, and they have no clue how to handle it or even how to fill the space because they haven't put their time in, they haven't done their reps, they haven't built their chops, and they're just kind of thrown and thrust into success. And he was like, I really feel like it's the same for you and Rachel with the podcast. Like, you have to put your time in, you have to learn it, and you have to grow so that you can be prepared whenever that elusive thing, right? Whenever that elusive thing happens that you're looking for.
Not if, but when.
Oh, not if, yeah.
And I think it's true. I think that us putting in the time and the dedication that we do will be instrumental when it all starts to flow into a much bigger picture type of company. Because it is. It's going to be its own standalone business and employing people and bringing people into the mix. Like right now, it's just the two of us. It's not going to be the two of us a year from now. And I also think about like the environment we want to cultivate, which again goes back to full moon energy. And the cool thing about full moons is they happen all the time. Like every 30 days, we get a full moon. So we're talking specifically about the December full moon, 2024. But naturally, every full moon brings its own unique characteristics and energy into the space. So this one is just reflective of the time of year. It's cold, it's dark, it's blustery. It's just a time to go within, get warm, still absorb it, still make changes, still move forward, be intentional, practice gratitude, but remain calm and chill because there's a lot of energy that comes from the outside collective this time of year too that can impact.
I feel like it's a very humble moon too. And on that note, I'm actually going to ask you, what are 3 things you're proud of this year?
I'm proud of myself, first and foremost. Like, I'm really proud of myself. I've been working really, really hard. And I'm incredibly proud to be here and, of myself. I'm also really, really, really proud of my kids. I mean, they are the life force that I live for every day. I mean, I live for myself.
Oh, great.
But like, I think it's interesting now that I have children and they're the age that they are that, you see these people take these speeches and they get these awards. And a lot of times the first people they thank is the people in the industry. And like, I will always just thank my children because they're the most beautiful teachers without knowing that they're teaching. And it is by far my greatest job. It will always be my greatest job is to be a mom. I'm really, really proud of them. I mean, they're challenging as fuck, but like, I really love them so much. They bring me so much joy. And they will. When I die, I will reflect on them as humans. And so, yeah, my kids. And I'm really fucking proud of this podcast.
I am too.
You know, we put a lot of energy into it. We've put a lot of laughter, not so much blood and sweat. I don't feel like we've, and there's not been a lot of tears. There's so much growth and positivity that comes out of it. And I'm really proud of what we're building. So, all right back at you, sister.
Okay.
What are 3 things you're really proud of?
All right. I'm not, last episode was my time to cry. It's yours.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yours. I am equally very, very fucking proud of this podcast. And alongside of that, I'm proud of myself for being vulnerable in a way that I've not been vulnerable before, because I was told my whole life that I was this or that I was that. And so challenging that narrative that I heard and realizing that I have a lot to offer and actually putting that out there, or even saying these words right now.
Yes.
Super fucking proud of that.
Yeah.
It's real hard.
Yeah, it is. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. And man, I'm proud of the community of people that is surrounding us and lifting us up. Because it's like really hard to like step out of your own way sometimes to lift other people up.
Yeah.
Because life is so daunting.
Yeah.
And there's so many pieces to it. And I'm like really proud of all of the people that are stepping up to lift other people up right now. And like, it can be like the smallest minutia that you see of somebody just holding a door, or it can be something much larger.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm proud to be a part of a community of people that feel that way.
I
and
agree.
that would do that.
I agree.
And I'm really proud of my family.
Yeah.
Like, we've grown even closer this year, and we're pretty close in general, but we've grown closer, and they both are so passionate about everything that they do and put their whole heart into it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I could not be more proud of like the program that Charlie is building.
Right.
How hard he works at his, his day-to-day job.
Yep.
How hard he works for this family. And like the fact that he has the bandwidth and the energy to still give us the best of him.
Yes.
Is like incredible to me.
Yes.
I don't even know where that pool lies that he fucking drinks from, but it's somewhere magical.
Is it in your basement?
It's somewhere magical. And the effect that he has on people is so fucking cool to see.
Yes.
And it's the effect he has on me and Evie and his students and anybody, his friends. Like, it's so cool. And like just watching Evie, like, holy crap, man. She's about to be 12 years old. That's fucking wild.
I know sometimes I forget that the girls are 7 months apart.
I know.
Because it's like, oh, they're 11. Nope.
Nope.
We're going a whole nother year ahead.
A whole nother year. And I'm really proud of how hard she works, but also at how she maintains balance.
Mm.
And she's just unapologetically her.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that about her.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Lots to be proud of.
Lots to be proud of.
And my dog, I'm proud of his Snuggles, man. He's got the best fucking Snuggles.
Oh, Grizzy.
Man, he was so excited to see you and you got here today.
I know. I would say Stevie is good at snuggling, but she sucks.
Yeah, Stevie's not great at snuggling.
That is one thing with a bulldog. If they do, like if I pull her up, she just gives me her butt.
Yeah. She was excited to see me last week when I came, though.
Yeah.
When your parents were in town.
Yes.
It was so sweet.
Yeah, she does. She gets cuddly like in the beginning, like in her own way where she'll like come up to you and you can pet her, but she doesn't like cuddle on the couch or like on a chair or anything. All right.
Thank you guys for being here with us. Rachel, thanks for being vulnerable and sharing and crying.
I know. You're welcome. You're welcome, world. I do it all for you. I live this human experience so that I can come on and talk about it.
There you have it.
But I'll continue to do that. So.
All right, go get naked to dance in the full moon.
Oh, that's a good idea.
That's what I'm going to do.
Freeze your lips off. All right.
Which ones? Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.